U.S. Central Command has said that it fired a Hellfire missile into the engine room of Gambia-flagged Lian Star as it was transiting international waters towards an Iranian port on the Gulf of Oman. Before the attack, U.S. forces issued more than 20 warnings, informing the vessel that it was in violation of the U.S. blockade. CENTCOM said the ship was no longer transiting to Iran but did not provide any further detail. U.S. forces have disabled 5 commercial vessels and redirected 116 to fully enforce the blockade as a ceasefire with Iran remains in effect. The conflict has pushed up global energy prices as Iran has mostly closed the Strait of Hormuz. All right, let's discuss this issue in detail. Dr. Rajan Kumar, Professor, School of International Studies, JNU, is joining us. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on DD India News Hour. To begin with, how do you see the developments shape from here on, with U.S. again emphasizing that it can still resume to military ways when we talk of the war, adding that no deadline or for that matter no deal has been struck so far with Iran. At the same time, Iran seems unfazed.
Thank you, Preeti ji, for having me here. There are 3 issues here. First, I think what we need to understand the 2 stages of the deal, peace deal that we are talking about, and we should not go by what Pete Hegseth is saying in Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore seriously. And there was a similar interview by President Trump with Lara Trump in a Fox News channel. But coming back to the primary issue of peace deal, there are 2 stages of it. First is that let's accept the one fact that neither country wants to return to war. Both the countries, they want to, United States and Iran, they want some kind of deal. Now, the issue is that they are, what Iran is saying and what United States is saying, they are giving different versions of the deal. But it seems that an MOU, 14-point MOU, that has been agreed upon by the negotiators. Kalibaf is the negotiator from Iran's side, but the details are not exactly available in the media. So what essentially the agreement, let me tell you, there is an agreement that the ceasefire would be extended for 64 days. There is an agreement that Hormuz would be reopened by both the countries, and during the ceasefire, the ships can navigate freely from any country. Third, which we think that this kind of agreement would not have taken place unless and until US agreed to release some of the funds and the assets which have been frozen in Western banks and in other capitals. So probably, sanctions on Iran would be gradually lifted. So these are at the moment talking points, but there are complex issues. The issue what you raised in your program, that who will deal, how Oman and Iran will deal it together. Will they charge something, or will it be free like the way it was before the attack? The second issue is, the primary issue from United States perspective is Iran giving a commitment that Iran will not enrich uranium and Iran will not develop any nuclear weapon. But if you see the Iranian version of the reports, news media and speeches, etc., so Iran is saying that there was no discussion on the nuclear issue. There was no discussion on the fissile material enriched uranium of 440 kilograms of uranium that it has. There is no agreement or no discussion on the future development program of Iran. So Iran is completely denying the statements which are coming from the American side. But America, let me tell you, because of the domestic politics, compulsions of the midterm election, etc., Trump has to show that first that some deal has taken place on the issue of uranium, on the issue of developing nuclear weapons, and Trump has been saying constantly that Iran has agreed, but Iranian sides are completely denying. So what does it mean? How do you read between the lines? Here the issue, it seems, is that what Trump and what they have agreed upon for the 60 days, the other non-complex issues would be decided, opening of Hormuz, and some amount of sanctions would be lifted on Iran. And after that, after 60 days, they will start negotiating on the complex issue of how to manage Hormuz through Oman and Iran, and the nuclear enrichment program. So that's how I read this entire piece, this negotiation. What Trump is saying, they're very close to the deal. But also, let me tell you that in the earlier also, several times, President Trump has made statements where has said that we are very close to the deal. But at the same time, there is also threatening statements, which you quoted, Pete Hegseth in
Yes.
Shangri-La, Singapore, and the same kind of statement is coming from United States also. Trump is also making, but that is essentially a kind of, that is to appease the domestic population, and we should not take those statements very seriously. The fact is, America wants to get out of Iran. That's the reality, and it doesn't want to return to war.
All right, Dr. Kumar, when we're talking of the unfolding of the situation, then on one hand we have President Donald Trump, who did not leave any stone unturned to deter Iran from developing a nuclear weapon. At the same time, we have Iran unfazed and undeterred. At the same time, it further goes on to block the Strait of Hormuz. Put all this together, do you think to what extent will this unfolding of the events redefine US's influence in the region?
I think, very important question. And what US has done essentially, it has weakened its position, its influence in the region.
Yes.
Now what is happening among the allies, because US was controlling this region through allies. Israel is the primary ally, but also UAE, Bahrain, and Oman, Qatar, etc., and Saudi Arabia, of course. But now, if US withdraws, because in the MOU there is also a deal that from the vicinity, US Army, US forces will withdraw. Now, if US withdraws from these regions, and then there is a question for the allies. For instance, UAE, for Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain. These are very small countries, and they're not very powerful. Militarily, they're not very powerful. So they'll start looking for alternative influence, alternative paths. First, they'll try to renegotiate with Iran, and second, they'll start talking with China, Russia, and other countries, because they know that US cannot be completely relied upon. So in a way, if US withdraws at this point of time, and US will withdraw, let me also tell you how the negotiations will figure out in the future, we don't really know. But the US withdrawal from here will send a very strong message to the regional countries that US cannot be completely relied upon. Yes, US will remain the most powerful force even in the region, let me tell you, because of Israel and because of its military outreach. I'm not denying that. But at the same time, these regional powers, they will start looking for the other actors, where Russia, China, India, Turkey, Pakistan, all these countries become important. So in a way, it's a kind of a difficult moment for United States, if you see from the policy perspective, because people in United States, they're also asking, what did you achieve in Iran? Because you are back to the same deal where during the Obama time, this deal was almost similar to that you have to lift sanctions, and you have to ensure that investigators go and check that Iran does not develop a nuclear weapon. So essentially, you are back to zero, and there has been no achievement. So Trump's position would be questioned in the American politics, domestic, but also internationally, because they think America has not succeeded in its objective of regime change. That was the primary purpose, and America now is negotiating on Iranian terms, be it Hormuz, be it the other issues.
Right.
That's a very difficult moment for Washington at this point of time. Yeah.
All right. President Trump, time and again, threatening further military action against Iran. At the same time, in Iran, the Iranian parliament would be formalizing the country's management of Strait of Hormuz in the Iranian parliament. Put all this together, all this amidst negotiations still taking place. Would you say, diplomacy still has the caliber or the mettle to arrive for this conflict to arrive at a solution?
And there is no alternative to diplomacy, because had US achieved the goal through military missile attacks and other attacks, then it has done already, except the nuclear bombing. US has done everything possible in the region. But US has failed to achieve its primary objective of, US was thinking that if the supreme leader is eliminated, probably Iran will capitulate and surrender. Because now Iran has not surrendered, and Iranian regime has mobilized its people, even the people who are critical of the regime otherwise, they are with the regime at this moment, because they think that America is doing for Israel. So because of that, the situation in Iran is very complicated. But again, diplomacy is the only option for the two countries. Otherwise, there is no way that through which this basic objectives can be achieved. And now America is under pressure because of the huge inflation. The price of oil is impacting the American people, consumers, industry, everything. And now, even if America is importing products from other countries, so they have become expensive. American shares, if you see the investment shares, that that is also going down, except artificial intelligence sector. All the sectors are down. So America is under pressure economically. America is also not getting support from the countries that it expected. It thought that NATO countries will support it. So NATO countries is also not with America on this particular issue. The countries of the global south are again very careful and cautious, be it China, be it Russia, be it India, etc. So they are developing their own strategy in the region. As a consequence, America is finding it difficult to deal with the strength also. And militarily, there is no solution that can be achieved at. So essentially, diplomacy is the way. And I think, in my view, deal is possible. Only thing that you'll see that America will give a different version of the deal, and Iran will probably give a different version of the deal, because they have to appease, they have to send a message to the domestic population. Iran will say that we have not capitulated, we have not surrendered, and we remain resilient. And America will give a message that nuclear deal, Iran has committed something on the nuclear deal. So that is the kind of the statement that you're likely to see in the coming weeks.
All right, Mr. Kumar, Dr. Kumar, thank you so much for joining in with those inputs and those insights.
Thank you.